X-Men 97 Season 2 just showed Colossus in his Acolyte costume, and seeing the ultimate good guy become an Acolyte caught me off guard. The Acolyte Colossus instantly jumped onto my figure wish list, but until Hasbro makes it, I'm ranking every Colossus figure. And trust me, the classic giant-sized X-Men costume might not be the best Marvel Legends Colossus. Before we start, we can't talk Colossus without talking about the person who means the world to him, Magic. Her tragic ending in X-Men 97 could help explain why Colossus starts questioning everything. Hasbro recently gave us the Secret Wars Magic, which looks close to her animated series appearance. But my personal favorite is still the Mutant Revolution, Walgreens exclusive Magic. Another guy synonymous with Colossus is Juggernaut. By default, Colossus is the X-Men's answer to a rampaging Juggernaut. The problem is, I have several Juggernauts in my collection, so my Colossus figures are seriously outnumbered. To give Piotr a much needed assist, here is his teammate Rogue.
Well, hey there, sugar. This here is Lenore Zan, aka Rogue of the X-Men. And you are watching some truly unstoppable X-Men content by my friend Drew, aka Tuggernaut Collectibles.
This is my unstoppable top 10 Colossus action figures ever. Fair warning, we are geeking out here. I'll also compare scale measurements and comic book height accuracy to answer one question. Which Colossus actually feels like a 7-foot 5-inch tall mutant? Before we get into the figures I actually own, I want to give a quick honorable mention to 3 Colossus figures that just missed my shelf. For now. At number 10, the 3.75-inch Marvel Universe Colossus. His iconic look just captured in a smaller scale. At number 9, Marvel Legends ToyBiz Series 5 Colossus from 2003. This bulky old school Colossus still has so much shelf presence. If ever I find him in the wild, I'm grabbing him purely because of nostalgia. Number 8, X3 Colossus from the Brood Queen wave. I actually spotted him while figure hunting in Osaka, Japan, and ever since then, I've regretted leaving him behind. Next time I see him, he's coming home to my collection. At number 7, 3.75-inch scale Marvel Universe Unstoppable Colossus. This is a dream come true for me. Colossus and Juggernaut combined into one single figure. It's almost perfect, but he's just not tall enough to fit into my collection. This Hasbro Marvel Universe Colossus is a 3.75-inch scale representation of Piotr becoming the new avatar of Cyttorak to stop Cain Marko, who was possessed by an Asgardian hammer during the Fear Itself comic book event. For a figure at this small scale, Hasbro did an excellent job adding those fine details and paint washes. But when you look at the silhouette, no doubt this is Cain Marko, not Piotr. The figure is actually just a repaint and retool of the Marvel Universe Juggernaut. The accuracy might not be 100%, but I still give props to Hasbro for actually making this figure. At number 6, Warlock Build-A-Figure Wave Colossus. Standing at 19 centimeters or 7.5 inches tall, this is a perfect 1/12 scale representation of a 7-foot 5-inch giant Colossus. Hasbro went with a gunmetal finish here instead of the usual shiny silver. To be honest, it looks great with those dark washes. It feels like a larger version of the 3.75-inch scale Unstoppable Colossus figure. Coincidentally, this was the exact costume he wore right before taking on the Cyttorak mantle. He features a bodybuilder-style head sculpt with a beard, which is certainly a unique head sculpt compared to the usual Colossus portraits out there. To play it safe, Hasbro also included a classic-looking Colossus head. No other accessories are included, which is unfortunate because you don't get a pair of closed fists. That means Colossus is forced to punch using only his right hand all the time. At number 5, Deadpool Legacy Collection Colossus. Although this isn't his classic look, I really like this figure. He's not comic book accurate in height, towering a bit taller at 20 centimeters or 7.9 inches tall. However, he comes with accessories like the X-Men rulebook, alternate hands, and an extra head. The sculpt and details are incredible. but he's a bit of a mix of old and new when it comes to articulation. This is the only Colossus figure with pinless double-jointed elbows, but the engineering dials back to an older ab crunch system. He does have butterfly joints, but they barely have any range. He might not be for every shelf, but he is such a cool looking Colossus figure from the Deadpool movie. At number 4, Astonishing X-Men Colossus. Towering at 19.5 centimeters or 7.7 inches tall, this guy is slightly taller than the standard 1/12 scale Colossus height. Together with Kitty, they complete the Astonishing X-Men lineup for Marvel Legends. Well, Danger is still missing, but I assume she isn't far behind. This is an impressive looking Colossus. The Metal Man has a brilliant, shiny silver finish with beautifully sculpted costume details, making this an all-new Colossus mold. The only minor gripes I can see are his mostly unusable butterfly joints and his single-jointed elbows. But overall, this is an impressive figure that comes completely loaded with accessories. A stoic head sculpt, an angry head sculpt, a pair of closed fists, and open palms. This certainly is a great Colossus, but he's specific to the Astonishing X-Men shelf. This is not his timeless look. At number 3, Classic Colossus from the Juggernaut 2-pack. This is the timeless look. The Colossus most comic book fans and collectors recognize straight off the cover of Giant Size X-Men number 1. Standing at 19 centimeters or 7.5 inches tall, he is a perfect 1/12 scale representation of a 7'5" giant. Technically, he's the exact right size, but does he feel tall enough for your X-Men shelf? He scales perfectly against the Juggernaut he's bundled with. This is no hostage 2-pack. This is one of the most perfect jewel packs you can buy, pairing two iconic comic book rivals together. It's like getting a Larry Bird vs Magic Johnson 2-pack. Even if the articulation is slightly dated by today's standards, with an ab crunch and a waist swivel, it still works well. He also has single-jointed elbows with pins, but I'm never bothered by pins when they match the surrounding plastic color. When I first started my collection, I actually passed on this one because I felt he wasn't tall enough. But looking at the actual measurements, I was proven wrong. He's the perfect height. At number 2, Marvel Select Colossus. This figure is the exact reason why I originally skipped the Juggernaut 2-pack version. The height just feels right for a 7'5" tall character, even though in reality, he's way too tall at 21 centimeters or 8.3 inches tall. This translates to a Colossus who is over 8 feet tall, but to my eyes, it looks right having him tower over the standard 6-inch scale Marvel Legends. Amazingly, for an older figure from 2012, sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios, he already featured a ball-jointed upper torso swivel, which I prefer over the Marvel Legends ab crunch. As with most Marvel Select figures, the paint wash is exceptional. He only comes with one stoic head sculpt and no alternate hands, but he does include a Danger Room Spikes diorama that pays homage to the classic comic book cover. Well, half of it anyway. I'll be honest, there's a lot of personal bias ranking him ahead of the Marvel Legends Colossus figure, purely because this has been the definitive Colossus on my shelf for the longest time. At number 1, the Age of Apocalypse Colossus Build-A-Figure. The first time this guy was revealed, he instantly felt like a Build-A-Figure actually worth building. The figures included in the Colossus wave complement each other beautifully and offers great value, except for Cyclops. He stands at 20.5 centimeters or 8 inches tall, and given the chunky way Chris Bachalo draws his characters, I'd say this height is totally acceptable. Collectors often say that a Build-A-Figure is essentially a free figure when you buy the rest of the wave. And for a free figure, he comes back with alternate hands. Hasbro completely embraced the Bachalo art style here with the massive shoulder pads, straps, and sculpted forearm guards and boots. To top it up, Shadowcat is part of the same wave, so you get your Generation Next power coupled right out of the gate. The straps are actually removable, so I've even kit bashed him into an Outback era Colossus before. Though the sculpted lines on his torso give away that it's an Age of Apocalypse version. The silhouette and sheer mass of this figure just feels like a Colossus who can truly go toe-to-toe with Juggernaut. But Colossus rankings feels incomplete without one person, because depending on the era, Piotr's biggest relationship wasn't magic, it was Kitty. At number 4, the Marvel Unlimited exclusive Pirate Kate. This was my default Kitty on the shelf until very recently when I finally got her replacement. This is a repaint of the Kitty from the old Juggernaut Build-A-Figure wave, featuring a modified head sculpt with a band-aid on her nose, a direct nod to Marauders number 1. At number 3, Excalibur Shadowcat, a must-have version for an Excalibur theme shelf. It's a fantastic looking Shadowcat figure, even if the arm articulation is a bit limited by design of her costume. I absolutely love that gorgeous and smiling head sculpt. At number 2, Age of Apocalypse Kitty. This is Kate breaking all the rules, the smoking, the outfit, and the wrist claws. She is easily one of my favorite versions of Shadowcat. At number 1, the Astonishing X-Men Kitty Pryde. The undisputed best Kitty in my collection. With that perfect ponytail head sculpt, she completely dethrones Pirate Kate as my go-to version of the character in this costume. Do you agree with my Colossus and Shadowcat action figure rankings? Let me know in the comments below. This video is part of my massive X-Men series celebrating X-Men 97 Season 2. If you want to see more rankings and figure breakdowns, click the playlist in the top right corner of your screen. If you enjoyed this ranking, hit that hype button and like button harder than Colossus throwing Juggernaut through a wall, and just like his sister Ileana, bring this content to other fellow X-Men fans by sharing it. Also, if you're looking to pick up any of the figures featured today, I left some links in the description below. Have a great day and I'll see you in the next one.